Probability. Probability may be simplified and defined as the channel of achieving a set objective. It ranges from 1 to 0. An event must surely happen has a probability of 1. An event that cannot happen has a probability of 0. Probability of a coin. A coin has two possible outcomes, the head and the tail. If a coin is tossed once, the probability that its head is half. Similarly, the probability of getting a tail in a throw of a coin is half too. Probability of two coins. If two coins are tossed once, the following outcome results: head head, head tail, tail tail, tail head, which is equals to 4 outcomes. Therefore, in throwing of two fair coins, 4 outcomes results. Example: if two coins are tossed once, what is the probability of obtaining 1. 2 heads, 2. 2 tails, 3. A head and a tail, 4. At least a tail, 5. 2 heads and tail. Solution. Outcomes: we have head head, head tail, tail tail, and tail head. Now, number 1, we are asked to get the probability of 2 heads, which is equals to, we have 2 heads at the same place, which is 1 over 4. That is, we have 1 in one number of possible outcome over total number of outcome. That is, the possible outcome is head head. For head head, 2 heads in one place is 1. All over the total outcomes is 4. 2. The probability for 2 tails at the same place, we now have 2 tails only appearing only once out of the 4 outcomes. So we now have the number of outcome, which is 1 over total number of outcome, which is the 4 outcomes. We have 1 over 4. 3. The probability for a tail and for a head and a tail. So since we have a head and a tail appearing in 2 places, we have the total number of possible outcome, which is 2 over total number of outcome, which is 4. If we cancel out, we will now be left with half. 4. We ask you the probability of at least a tail to get for getting at least a tail. Tail appeared in 3 places: tail tail, tail head, and head tail. So we have 3, that is the number of possible outcome over total number of outcome, which is 4. We now have 3 over 4. 5. The probability of 2 heads and a tail. So the probability of 2 heads is and a tail is 0. So we have is any possible. We do not have where there is 2 heads and a tail appearing in the same place. So the answer is 0 over 4. Probability of 3 coins. If 3 coins are tossed once, the following outcomes results: head head head, head head tail, head tail head, tail head head. We also have tail tail tail, tail tail head, tail head tail, head tail tail, which is equal to 8 possible outcome, total outcome of 8. Example: if 3 coins are tossed ones. Find the probability of obtaining 1. 3 heads, 2. A head and 2 tails, 3. At least a tail, 4. At least 3 tails, 5. At least 2 heads, 6. At least 2 tails, 7. 2 heads and 2 tails. Solution. Outcomes: we have head, 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 tail, head, tail, head, tail, head, head, then tail, 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 head, tail, head, tail, head, tail, tail. 1. Probability of 3 heads. We have that 3 heads appearing in 1 is head, 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 which you now have 1 possible outcome over total number of outcome, which is 1 over 8. 2. The probability of head and 2 tails. So we have 3 possible outcomes, which is a head, which is head, tail, tail, head, tail, head, and tail, tail, head. So there are 3. So we now have the 3 possible outcome is 3 over total number of outcomes, which is 8. So you now have 3 over 8. For number 2, just mind you that the total number of outcomes is 8. Number 4, probability for at least a tail to come out. For at least a tail, which is just 1 tail to come out in all of the, which you now have the one that give us have at least a tail is 1 over 8. Alright, which is tail, head, tail. Then the probability of at least 3 tails, which is also 1 over 8. The probability 5, the probability at most 2 heads. 2 heads, we have tail, tail, head, head, tail, head, 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 tail, head. They are 6 in number over 8, which now give us 3 over 4 if you cancel out. The probability at least 2 tails, which is where we have 2 tails, they are 4 in number, which is tail, tail, head, tail, head, tail, head, tail, tail, and tail, tail, tail. So we have that 4 over 8, which will give us 1 over 2. The probability of 2 heads and 2 tails is impossible. So we don't have any probability that 2 heads will appear and 2 tails will appear in one place, which now have 0 over 8.